Hello everyone. Welcome to the virtual class of Accounts of Underwriting Commission. In previous sessions, we have discussed so many practical problems related to calculation of underwriters liability, calculation of commission payable to the underwriters, and final settlement with underwriters. Today, in this session, I would like to discuss one more practical question with you with some minor changes. Let us refer the question first. Anjana Limited issued 2 lakhs equity shares of rupees 50 each at 30% premium. Face value of the share is rupees 50 and these shares are issued by the company at 30% premium, that is rupees 15. The whole issue is underwritten by 3 underwriters as follows. A. 1,20,000 shares. In addition to that, underwriter A has given firm underwriting for 20,000 shares. B. 60,000 shares and C. 20,000 shares. Out of the total issue, 1,80,000 shares, including firm underwriting, were subscribed. Total number of applications received by the company for 1,80,000 shares. And these 1,80,000 includes firm underwriting. As per the information available over here, marked applications excluding firm underwriting. Information regarding marked applications are given to us for A. 64,000 shares, B. 40,000 shares and C. 16,000 shares. These 64,000 shares, 40,000 shares and 16,000 shares are without consideration of firm underwriting, as it is clearly mentioned over here, marked applications excluding firm underwriting. Last paragraph of the question. Benefit of firm underwriting is not given. It is a clear-cut mentioned over here by the examiner that we don't want to provide any kind of benefit or credit to the underwriters for their firm underwriting. At this point of discussion, I would like to inform you that if no information is given by the examiner in the question related to benefit or credit given to the underwriters or not, by default, we are not supposed to provide any kind of benefit or credit to the underwriters of the company for their firm underwriting. Always keep this rule in your mind. Otherwise, you will be on the wrong track at the time of calculation of underwriter's liability. If it is not mentioned in the question, it means we don't want to provide any kind of credit to the underwriters. The amount payable on application is rupees 30 per share, including the amount of premium. Here, we have to collect the amount from the shareholders in installment. At the time of application, we are collecting only rupees 30. And these rupees 30 includes amount of security premium and the balance amount at the time of allotment. So the amount collected by the company classified, divided into 2 parts. First, amount received by the company on application, and second, amount received by the company on allotment. Calculate the liability of the underwriters and also pass journal entries in the books of the Anjana Limited. Here, everything is precisely given to us and we have to simply interpret all the informations given by the examiner to us in a very proper way. If you understand the question properly, it is very easy for us to solve the problem. Let us define the situation first. As you all know, we need not to provide any kind of credit or benefit to the underwriters for their firm underwriting because it's clearly given to us in our question. With this, let us start calculation of net liability of underwriters. I have developed this particular practice right from the first question of the topic. We have to put into title and subtitle so as it is the directive principle for us at the time of calculation of net and total liability of the underwriters of the company. We have to prepare a table. The table showing a calculation of net liability is also a structured table. We have to prepare a column for particular, numbers of columns for underwriters, as many as underwriters available with the company, and the last column is for total. Gross liability as per agreement. Underwriter A has underwritten this issue for 1,20,000 shares. Underwriter B for 60,000 shares and underwriter C for 20,000 shares. Total number of shares underwritten by all three underwriters altogether 2 lakhs. Less marked application. Here we don't want to provide any kind of credit to the underwriters. So we have to deduct only marked application. Marked application means marked applications received by the company from the public. It does not include any application made by the underwriters for firm underwriting. Here, these figures are given to us in a ready-made form by the examiner. Marked applications for underwriter A without consideration of his firm underwriting 64,000, B 40,000, C 16,000, and total applications received with the marked of all three underwriters 1,20,000. Remaining liabilities of underwriter A 56,000 shares, underwriter B 20,000 shares, and underwriter C 4,000 shares. Total 80,000. Now we have to deduct unmarked applications. If you check the question properly, you can find the total number of applications received by the company, including firm underwriting, that we need, and in fact it is ready-made given to us. Total applications received by the company 1,80,000 shares, out of which marked applications are 1,20,000, and these marked applications are without consideration of firm underwriting, that you know better, because we don't want to provide any kind of benefit or credit to the underwriters. So unmarked applications for this particular case is 60,000 shares. As you all know, we have to distribute these unmarked applications among the underwriters in the ratio of their gross liability. But we have information, suppose we have information in our question that distribute unmarked applications to these or that underwriter in that proportion. So simply we have to follow a principle, that is do as directed. Whatever the information received to us in our question, simply we have to follow. If no informations are given to us, we have to follow the rule. We have to follow the principle. Here, no information is given, so we have to distribute unmarked applications among underwriters A, B, and C in the proportion of their gross liability. The proportion of gross liability is 6:3:1. So 36,000 transferred to A, 18,000 to B, and 6,000 to C. In this way, we have distributed total unmarked applications for 60,000 shares. Now, liability for underwriter A after distribution of unmarked applications. 20,000 shares. Underwriter B for 2,000 shares. And the account of underwriter C is showing surplus of 2,000 shares. As you all know, what will be the next step for our calculation? We have to distribute surplus of underwriter C to underwriter A and B. As no information is given, we have to follow the ratio of their gross liability. And the ratio of their gross liability is 6:3. 6 for A and 3 for B. You can say it is a 2:1. So total number of shares available with underwriter C as surplus distributed to A and B in the ratio of 2:1. So 1,333 shares transferred to underwriter A and 667 shares transferred to underwriter B. In this way, we can shift the numbers of shares. Now, net liability of underwriters 18,667 for A, 1,333 for B, and underwriter C is not responsible to purchase any share as his net liability. We have to add firm underwriting because it is the case of firm underwriting. 20,000 shares to A, 8,000 to B, and 2,000 to C. And total liability of underwriter A 38,667, B 9,333, and underwriter C for 2,000 shares. I hope everyone is clear with the calculation of total liability presented over here. After discussion of total liability of the underwriters, let us move to the next part of calculation. It is all about calculation of underwriting commission. Information regarding underwriting commission is not given to us in this question. So obviously we have to assume the rate of the underwriting commission. As no rate is given, I have assumed maximum rate of commission on shares as it is the case of share. It is 5% of the issue price. We have to prepare a structured table for the calculation of underwriting commission. Underwriter first column, numbers of shares underwritten. Second column, issue price per share 50 rupees for face value and 15 rupees for premium. So total 65. Total amount, fourth column, and last commission. Underwriter A. Underwriter A has underwritten 1,20,000 numbers of shares. Issue price per share is rupees 65. So total amount underwritten by A is 78 lakhs. And commission at the rate of 5% on 78 lakhs is rupees 3,90,000. Underwriter B. 60,000 shares underwritten by B. 65 rupees in total, 50 rupees for face value and 15 rupees for premium. Total 39 lakhs. And amount of underwriting commission on 39 lakhs at the rate of 5% is rupees 1,90,000. For underwriter C, number of shares underwritten 20,000 at the rate of 65. So total amount underwritten by C is rupees 13 lakhs. Total 65,000. Total underwriting commission payable by the company to the underwriters is rupees 6,50,000. This calculation is very much routine. Now, final settlement with underwriters. Here, you need to understand one thing very clearly, that for the calculation of underwriting commission and final settlement with underwriters, we are not supposed to consider the amount received by the company in a two installment. Ultimately, company is receiving 30 rupees at the time of application and 35 rupees at the time of allotment. This is dealing with the public. It has nothing to do with the calculation with the underwriters. So simply, follow the calculation as we have completed in earlier sessions. Underwriter A, total liability of the underwriters 38,667 shares. Issue price per share 65. If you don't want to calculate 65 directly, then simply use 30 rupees first and 35 rupees for allotment. 30 rupees plus 35 rupees. Finally, the figure of issue price is rupees 65. So, final settlement with the underwriters is always based on the total amount of issue price per share. If you want to classify, you can, but it doesn't make any difference in your calculation. So I have used 65 rupees directly. Total amount receivable from underwriter 25 lakhs 13,355. Amount payable to the underwriter A 3 lakhs 90,000 rupees for underwriting commission. So final settlement with underwriter A is to receive 21 lakhs 23,355. Underwriter B 9,333 numbers of shares to be purchased by B. Total amount 65. Again, I repeat for your clarification, if you want to calculate 30 and 35 separately, you can do it. But it doesn't make any difference in your calculation. Total amount 6,06,645 receivable from underwriter B and 1,95,000 rupees payable to underwriter B as his underwriting commission. So at the time of final settlement, the company will receive rupees 4,11,645 from underwriter B and final settlement with underwriter C. Underwriter C is responsible to purchase only 2,000 shares from the company at the rate of rupees 65 in total, 30 plus 35. Total amount receivable from underwriter C is rupees 1,30,000, and on the other hand, the company is required to pay 65,000 to underwriter C for his efforts on underwriting the issue. So, as a part of final settlement, the company will receive 65,000 from underwriter C. This is all about the final settlement with underwriters. Instead of rupees 65 in a direct, you can prepare two different columns, 30 rupees at the time of application and 35 rupees at the time of allotment, and one more column that is a total. So ultimately it is 65. I don't want to enter into that kind of detailed calculation, and that is why I have used direct 65. Your answer remains same in all the cases. So need not to worry for the settlement of your answer. Now, before passing the journal entries, it is necessary for you to understand this particular mechanism. Classification of amount received by the company, because issue price per share is rupees 65. Now, if you refer the question very properly, you can find that the company has received rupees 30 on application, and these rupees 30 includes amount of security premium, because it's clearly given in the question. If no information is given, it is up to you. You can consider security premium on application or on allotment, but it is advisable to consider security premium at the time of application only, right? So with this note, you have to understand the further classification. The second is amount received by the company on allotment. On application, the company has received rupees 30. Total amount to be received by the company 65. So on allotment 35. We are calculating this for the purpose of dealing with the public. Here we have to deal with two different stakeholders. One, it's an underwriter that we have already completed a final settlement with the underwriters. But still we have to discuss with the public. Still we have to deal with the public, because the public is also one of the stakeholder for us, because we have issued our securities to the public. So amount received by the company on application is 30. These 30 rupees includes amount of premium 15, and remaining 15 rupees are transferred to the capital account of the company. So we have to understand classification first. Total amount received by the company on application rupees 30. These 30 rupees includes amount of premium rupees 15, and remaining 15 rupees considered as capital. And on allotment, the company has received rupees 35. So that 35 out of 35 is related to capital. You can easily connect the figures. Total capital 15 rupees received on application and 35 rupees received on allotment. So 35 plus 15 is equal to total capital, that is a face value 15, and amount of premium, that is a 30% on face value, that is a 50 rupees, equals to 15. So we have arranged everything very properly. This arrangement is required for the purpose of passing the journal entries in the books of the company. Let us pass journal entries in the books of Anjana Limited. We have to follow the proper structure of the journal entries. The first entry, bank account debited 1,80,000 shares multiplied by 30 rupees, that is amount received by the company on application is rupees 30. 1,80,000 multiplied by 30, 54 lakhs. 2. Equity share application account 54 lakhs. Being amount received from public on application for 1,80,000 shares at the rate of rupees 30 each, including premium of rupees 15 per share. So now in the second journal entry, we have to transfer concerned amount to equity share capital account and security premium account. Equity share application account debited 54 lakhs, to equity share capital account 27 lakhs, and security premium account 27 lakhs. 15 rupees for capital and 15 rupees for securities premium. We have passed same kind of journal entries in the earlier questions, but here the dealing of the public is not coming to an end. Why? Because out of the total amount of 65 received from the public in a single slot, in a first go at the time of application, we have received only rupees 30 from them. So we have to make a call on allotment. So we have made a call, equity share allotment account debited 63 lakhs, 1,80,000 shares multiplied by 35 rupees. We have already completed a classification of the capital and security premium earlier. So 63 lakhs rupees receivable by the company on allotment. 2. Equity share capital account 63 lakhs. Simply, the company will receive the amount from the shareholders, and as soon as the amount is received from the shareholders, it is debited to bank account. So bank account debited 63 lakhs to equity share capital account 63 lakhs. Here the transaction with the public comes to an end, as we have received amount from the public in 2 installment. First installment with 30 rupees including the premium on application, and second installment for 35 rupees for capital part on allotment. At this point of discussion, I would like to put to your notice that examiner may provide you as many as installments to you in the examination question. Here it is divided into 2 parts, that is application and allotment. But it may be possible that examiner may provide you information that on application this amount received, on allotment this amount has been received, on first call this amount is received, and on final call this amount is received. It is nothing more than a revision of accounts of share capital transaction of standard 12th. So you have to make a call for the purpose of concerned amount. Maybe it is for allotment or first call or final call. Once you finalize the deal with the public, rest of all other calculations remain same. This is all about the amount due with the underwriters. Underwriter A's account 25 lakhs 13,355. B's account debited 6 lakhs 6,645. C's account debited 1 lakh 30,000. To equity share capital account 25 lakhs directly 50 rupees credited to the equity share capital, and securities premium account 7 lakhs 50,000, being equity shares allotted to the underwriters according to their total liability at the rate of rupees 50 per share with 30% premium. We have already completed a calculation of this amount earlier, and it's a very much routine for us. Now, amount of underwriting commission payable to the underwriters of the company. Underwriting commission is an expenditure for the company, so it is debited in the accounts of the company. Underwriting commission account debited rupees 6 lakhs 50,000 to A's account 3 lakhs 90,000, account of B credited with 1 lakh 95,000, and 65,000 rupees credited to underwriter C. In this way, we can pass journal entries related to transaction of underwriting commission payable to the underwriters. Last but not least, it is entry for the final settlement. Total amount collected by the company from all three underwriters amounting to rupees 26 lakhs. So it is debited to bank account. Bank account debited with 26 lakhs to A's account 21 lakhs 23,355, to B's account 4 lakhs 11,645, and to C's account 65,000. In this way, we can finalize the account with the underwriters of the company. I hope the solution of this particular problem is clear to you. Thank you. Keep watching the next sessions. God bless you.